On this episode of IT Unplugged, I sit down with Tyler, the Director of Solutions at M2 Logistics, to figure out how technology and logistics are working together to impact the TMS industry.
At M2 Technology, we're on a mission to make IT accessible to everyone. Join us on our journey to demystify the ever-evolving world of business technology. Are you ready to get unplugged?
Welcome back to IT Unplugged. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Tyler.
Tyler, excited to have you here. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you came to M2 Logistics? For those that might not know, M2 Technology, M2 Logistics, kind of companies that work together on a regular basis. Yeah. And what kind of just brought you here?
Yeah. So Tyler Shanle. I came to M2. Brandon? Probably April of this year. I've been in logistics and supply chain for the past 15 years, working for various global companies, and a lot in their technical space of the supply chain. So a lot of IT related projects that went on, not on the hardware side, but more on the software side and the application side. But there was an opportunity to join the M2 team, and I was glad and happy to join the team. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, when I saw you coming on, it was Director of Solutions, and I'm like, "What? That is as broad as can possibly be."
Yeah.
What does that all entail? And then also, I feel like we kind of had a couple people join at the same time, and you have familiar faces at M2 Logistics. So what's that like? Kind of walking into a place that's different but familiar.
Yeah. So title, to me is always relevant. I've had a number of different titles, but always kind of came up to the same conclusions, right? Doing a lot of process analysis, a lot of integration work, a lot of business processes with our customers, our internal teams, with our carriers. Just making sure we have a full solution that's scalable. It's relatively inexpensive, but meets the needs for every customer and in our own internal business. So a lot of solution design goes into that, but I kind of wanted it broad, not specific to customers, specific to internal. So it's just solutions, right?
Yeah.
Not business solutions or IT solutions, but every solution, right? But yeah, there's a couple of familiar faces around the office, and we had some good wins in the past together, so we figured we could do that again.
Yeah. Well, you can already tell like the synergy and the people that are there. You're like, oh yeah, these people have definitely worked with each other. After the first like big meeting, I'm like, oh yeah, they're comfortable.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. It's
we're
like
on the same page.
It doesn't feel like, oh, it's my first day at a new company. So that was kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
But you got something pretty big going on right now with Encompass, and it took me just a minute to wrap my head around it and all the cool things it can do. But just like overall, what is Encompass?
Yeah, so Encompass really, it's not just a TMS, a transportation management solution, but it's a total management solution. So it's not just dealing with your transportation objects, but it's dealing with your carrier objects, your items, your materials, your financial objects. So it's really a total management solution for your supply chain. So we partner with the best providers in the industry. We integrate internally. We map everything to our customers, where a lot of our competitors you have to conform to our standards and our specs. We want to make it flexible. So it's really that total supply chain management solution through people and processes and technology. And it's really the backbone of it is the Encompass TMS. So there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, I think, Brandon, you've seen quite a bit of work going around the office about it. But it's coming together really nice right now. We've got a lot of good wins rolling up and a lot in the pipeline too.
Yeah. So I'm so curious because there's other TMSs that are out there. So what did we kind of hear that made us go, we're going to create our own solution?
Yeah.
Like, what do we hear from customers that led to that?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I come from working for some of the largest entities in the world, and they need a massive enterprise ecosystem, and all their different softwares need to play nice together. And then we've worked with some of the smallest companies, mid-sized manufacturers, small businesses, where they still need the same type of technology, but they don't have the pockets to do that, right? So what we were hearing in the marketplace is we want enterprise-grade transportation management, but we don't want to pay the enterprise price tag, right? Sure. So there's a lot of TMSs, like you said. There's a lot of TMSs out there. Some are free, some are really cheap, some are very expensive. we wanted to get the functionality of the expensive ones. We wanted to make sure we had the integration capabilities of the enterprise class, but we wanted to make it reasonably priced so that small businesses, mid-market shippers, they could also enjoy the benefits of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of seems like you're just taking all the great things and you're like, yeah, we're just going to combine them all together. So, I mean, what kind of positions M2 to really be one of the companies that can come forward and create a solution like that that's going to be valuable to so many different places?
Yeah, I think it's our diversity, honestly. We have a lot of different customers, a lot of great customers, and they all have different backgrounds, all have different needs, right? But when rubber meets the road, right, like a truck's going down the road and it's going to deliver somebody's product, right? The truck doesn't really care what TMS you had, right? Neither do the goods, but your finances do, and maybe your customers do, your operations does. So, we put it all together and said, okay, what's the best solution to bring to market? And they said, there isn't one, right? So that's why it's not just this fits for everybody, it's we make it fit for you almost. So we need to have a broad spectrum of functionality, tools within our toolbox to make sure that works for everybody, right? Because every business is different, right? There's the same kind of workflow process, but there's tweaks, there's little imbalances here, there's all these nuances. But that's where we really excel is we dig in before we even try to pitch the TMS as a selling point. We try to understand where their gaps are, where their future vision is for their supply chain, and really understand where we can plug in and help.
Yeah.
And we've seen really good success and really good, outreach from the market in that.
So like being a 3PL as well, how is that kind of like, what kind of experience do you get? I think I'm kind of leading on this to get to that point where you can make those suggestions and learn so much more,
Yeah. I mean, we're in a unique position, right? Because we do have a 3PL. We're really good operations teams, and they'll pitch it too, right? They'll pitch it to our customers, say, hey guys, like, you guys are complaining every day about your spreadsheets, right? Hey, we can't get anything out of finance, or finance can't get anything out of operations. And we'll just make sure that we can recognize those gaps within our current customers, and we'll try to go in with a solution for them to help fill those gaps.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of refreshing because like so many places nowadays, it feels like with solutions is they have this thing and it can do everything and they sell it to you and then they just kind of like walk away. And we get it with, it's such a weird thing because it's almost like a threshold. It's like, hey, you're going to spend $10,000 a month with us, but you're not going to spend 20, so you don't really get anybody to help implement. And good luck, you know what I mean? You can go off and do it on its own. Is that something that's common in the TMS space?
It is. I mentioned before there's some TMSs that are free, right? And they label themselves as free, but you can only enter an order. You can't get it out of the system. You can't get your data out, right? And that's a big problem, right? Because they're marketing it, and it's a little cheesy, honestly. And then there's the enterprise ones where, like you said, you pay the $10,000 package, but you don't get all the support for the 20. So we don't like to do that. We try to say, okay, here's our cost to run these different packages, and then what's our markup on those, and then what kind of support does that really entail? For us, right, we want to make sure this is scalable, not just for our customers, but for us too, to manage and support, right? Everybody's got a ticket system now to file tickets. We're a business of people working with people. We're not a bunch of software developers, so we still want to maintain that. But can we have a committee of our customers to come up with enhancement ideas together? Can we have a committee to come up with, hey, what's another software package you guys need? And we'll go out and kind of take a vote, kind of take a market survey to make sure that when we're going out and buying or building new, is it going to fit for purpose with our customer base? So yeah, it's more of a collaboration effort than it is just a support mechanism, but it's definitely different. Definitely different. And I've been there where you need 200 consultants to get something out online, and it's one decision's made in one room and the other room's making a different decision. So that's not fun. And you're on a different timeline. You know what I mean? Usually than the people that are rolling things out or implementing it. So it can be difficult. I can only assume. So it seems like these are common problems in the industries that we're kind of in. So how do you get them
I guess this is a two-part question. Do they even know that there's a possibility to get a system that's working really well? I guess, let's just kind of sit on that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I was just with a customer last week, right? And they're like, well, you're the 10th person to come in to try to sell a TMS. We're already doing business with them, so they, we had a good relationship. But, they were thoroughly impressed at how detailed we were in our questions before we even tried to bring up a TMS, right? We walked through their whole business process. We found their gaps in their accrual, how they invoice their customer for their products and their goods ahead of a shipment even occurring. How are they getting quotes back on what shipping costs would be, right? Everybody wants an Amazon experience today, right? And now it's rolling into, our generation, and they're, procurement managers at these large organizations. They want to order 100,000 pounds of raw materials on their phone, right? So you kind of need a system to support that nowadays, right? And we went into that detail without ever pitching our solution until that point of, hey, this is some gaps we see in your business process. Here's how we can help solve those. And their mouths kind of hit the floor. They were like, let's go. It's been receptive very well to people. Yeah,
that's great. That was kind of the second part, is how do you get people over the hump of, as an Amazon MSP even, here's the thing. They roll the dice on one and they're like, oh, wow, that did not work well. And then they get the second one, and because it's just a commodity space, a lot of times they're going, okay, I guess this is just what all MSPs are like. And then when you try to get them to actually go to somewhere that, like what we think with M2 Tech, with good service and that people working with people relationship, the barriers are so high up. Is that something that you think you're going to be dealing with? Yeah,
it is, right? Because, TMSs aren't new. They've been around for decades, but there's some old staples in the industry. And everybody's probably had a flavor of them if they've been in the supply chain world, and they're like, I can't stand this. I'm never going to that again. And then they end up still going back to it. But and then there's a lot of new, in this freight tech space right now, there's a lot of venture capitalist money coming in. So a lot of people are kind of building little niche software packages, right? But you need a team internally as a shipper, as a manufacturer, as a distributor, to really orchestrate them, and that's where our value truly comes. You don't need a huge IT team to go deploy this, right? We kind of take that work for you and integrate to your existing systems, on behalf of you. So you really don't need a whole big IT project and tie up all your resources to do this, and that's been probably one of the biggest barriers to entry for any TMS. Everybody sells their TMS and it can do all these things, but it really can't until you deeply integrate it into that business. And until you break down those walls and break down that barrier of that IT project, right? Because nobody wants to spend $1 million in IT resources for transportation, right? They'd rather do that on the e-commerce side, or on their sales side or marketing side, not on transportation. But if we can take that away, there's really no more barrier, right? And that's what we've really done.
Yeah. Well, no, that's super neat. I guess I'm kind of curious, because there's so many different things that Encompass can do. Is it one of those, just kind of curious, you're talking about the implementation process. Can you do one or two things, like the low-hanging fruit, or do you have to come in and do all of it at one time?
Yeah, it's a good question. No, we kind of do like an a la carte menu, right? Where if you just, if you're just starting out your small business, or you just want to move from a spreadsheet onto a platform where you have data and analytics behind it, but you don't want integration work. We do a flavor of everything, right? We have kind of like a light model where we can just come in, you can do some order entry, you can do uploads via CSV, but then we get into the more broad-scaled enterprise solutions where, we're optimizing 1,000 orders in 2 minutes and coming up with scenario-based modeling. We have a really good data and analytics team who put together some really good analytics platforms for some of our customers, and it's been well received. So a little bit of everything, but you don't need to buy the whole thing, right? You can just get, hey, I just want to ship LTL, or I just want to ship parcel. You can go all the way from that to I want to ship global, international air and ocean freight, to dock scheduling at a big DC, to automated appointments, to you name it.
Kind of endless.
For sure.
So I guess let's get kind of granular a little bit here. So there's features like real-time visibility, yard management, risk mitigation. For me, not coming from the logistics world, I look at that, I'm like, well, that's cool, but what is any of it? Like, can you just break down maybe one of those and how it might impact a business?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, real-time visibility, right? Like, everybody knew that. It was kind of a buzzword probably, 10 years ago. There was a number of competitors in that space, and everybody said they had the best visibility. Well, what does visibility really mean, right? Does everybody need to track every 15 minutes where a shipment is on the road? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
But they do need to know where the exceptions are happening so they can correct those issues, right? So real-time visibility to us is, where is it important to your supply chain? On the finance side, is it visibility into your freight accruals, right? Is it visibility into your order placement scheduling? Is it visibility into how your customers are receiving your goods, right? So there's a broad spectrum there of what real-time visibility is. And not a lot of people are solving all of it, right? So that's where the benefit of Encompass is we take it all in and not just say, hey, we're just going to go out and get you 15-minute visibility check calls, right? We're kind of broadening that spectrum to say we'll take visibility from all these different points and we'll combine it all into one master visibility platform and just show you where all your gaps are.
Wow, to go from, very limited visibility or something like that to that next level, I love the consultative kind of approach, though, because it doesn't seem like anything's kind of set in stone, essentially. Like, you have your tools in the tool belt, but you can kind of use them in different ways, it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely kind of engineers at heart, but, we put our hard hat on and we get out there with a hammer once in a while.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we definitely like to take that consultative approach. Like I said before, one size doesn't always fit all, especially in this space, and we don't need a huge team to go deploy these things, which is really critical. But we want to make sure that our team that's there, we're on site with the customers, we're going to all the facilities, making sure we understand where the gaps are. Because even though a shipper or manufacturer has a central distribution point or a central logistics team, they're not always engaged with what's going on at the shipping and receiving offices. So we like to get right there too and see, why do they always change the BOL number? What is going on? Why aren't they actually departing trucks when they actually close the door and seal them? Where is the trailer number that got in the yard? And try to help solve those gaps and help the corporate teams and those centralized teams really understand where the gaps are and why they don't have good data. I mean, data is king in this world. You can't automate anything until you have good clean data, so we try to help that up front, not, it's not working because you didn't give us good data.
Yeah.
And we try to solve that right away.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that, M2 Logistics is trying to solve problems, right? And I've been here for a little bit, and I've always seen that it's been relationship based, and we've used data and processes and technology to do things. But I mean, like, what was the thought process when it was like, hey, you know what, we're going to take on this massive undertaking and kind of shift into something that we've already been doing, being consultative, but essentially building this thing out? Like, what was the convincing like?
Yeah, I mean, it was a team effort for sure, but we needed something internally, right? And we needed to upgrade. We needed to get better visibility across not just what's on the road, but where is it at in inventory levels, purchase order levels. So we needed to build it for ourselves, and then we're like, hey, why don't we try to leverage this for everybody else too?
Yes.
Right? So we can get the best of both worlds, right? Where our customers who are utilizing the platform can get access and scalability like we do, and that's really kind of where it came to fruition is, hey, if we got to go do it, why don't we try to expose that for everybody else?
Yeah. Well, it's a win-win, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like M2 Tech uses a PSA system that's created by another MSP.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was all these big corporations that had these little, almost the exact same problems, where it's like, our solution does 100 things. Yep. Have fun setting them up. It's going to take you 9 months.
Yeah.
And here's the ginormous price tag for every single person that you have on there. And they just said, Limetree Labs, they're great guys, and they just said, we're going to build our own because we're an MSP and we know the problems that other MSPs have, and we're going to cater directly to them. It seems like a very similar thing that's happened with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're a logistics company. We're not a manufacturer or shipper, but I mean, without them, we wouldn't be a logistics company. So, but we understand where their gaps are from a transportation side, right? Because we're seeing more of it than that company actually does, right? Because they're just kind of throwing it over the wall and saying, hey, my providers and my suppliers will do this for me.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really understand what happens after that, right? They don't understand why more accessorials are getting accrued for, why, freight bills never match up, or why things are never delivered on time. Well, your appointment schedules with Walmart and Costco's never line up to when they actually set them, right? So there's never availability on Thanksgiving, so why are you sending POs for Thanksgiving, right? So things of that nature where they just never looked at, or didn't have data to support it, right? They knew there was a problem, but that's kind of, we've been seeing that for years, so we said, why not exploit that to the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for Encompass? What are the things that are coming down the pipeline, and what should people be looking out for?
Yeah. So from the Encompass side, right, we're currently kind of undergoing a large program where we're kind of redoing all of our integrations. We built out an integration platform. We're calling this M2 Waypoint. So Encompass kind of powered by Waypoint here underneath. But that's really that enterprise-grade integration capability where we can integrate to your SAPs all the way down to your Aptian ERPs, your e-commerce platforms like a Salesforce or an All-Around. There's just a lot of different organizations that have different softwares for their execution systems and accounting systems, and really nobody's really doing that, right? They're saying, oh, I'll go connect with these providers, and then that's kind of where they end up falling into. I'm an Oracle guy, or I'm an Infor guy, or I'm an SAP guy. Where we're kind of we're building the standardization so that it doesn't have to fit the TMS, doesn't have to fit the accounting platform, where we can kind of centralize that transaction, that data, and make sure that it's clean and it can get where it needs to go. If it needs to go to multiple spots, that's where it's going to go.
Wow, that's a huge thing that you're
it's large.
that you're
large.
building. I mean, I used to work for a company that sold like AI chatbots, and there was like 4 different things that we'd plug into, and they're like, you have to be using one of these 4 things, or we're not going to work with you at all, essentially. And you would say, or you would get very, very limited capabilities where you just get 10% of the solution, and you're still probably paying for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're paying the whole thing.
For the whole thing. So I don't know if it's fully, truly appreciated on how how huge of a thing is that you can say, yeah, we're working with this. We're problem solvers here, and we're going to find a solution and an integration.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because really it's, everybody in supply chain and customer service, right, at shippers, they're in 10 different platforms, right? You go past their desk, they got 3 screens, they got them all split screen, they got 6 different, portals they're in, and that's not efficient, right? So all the integration work that we're doing right now is really to become more efficient and more effective and give that to our customers so they can be effective, so they can go from one platform and do their whole day. Right? They can do their whole job right in one platform, compared to having to go to 4 different spots just to schedule an appointment or just to audit a freight bill. So we want to make sure that all that integration work is very seamless, so that the whole supply chain can be orchestrated appropriately. Yeah. Where if you need data and you're in finance, it's in your financial tool. It's not you have to go to the TMS to go get it, right? Yeah. If you're in master planning, right, and you need freight costs by supplier, you don't have to go to the TMS to go get that. It comes back to you. And that's really the undertaking we're doing right now. So it's we want to make sure people get the advantage of the software they already have, right, and the capabilities they already have. You just need more data to feed it. Yeah. And that's really where we come in. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, okay, so there might be some companies out there listening right now saying, okay, Encompass sounds like a good solution, but we're in the process of vetting a couple other ones. What are some questions that these other companies should be asking their TMS providers or potential TMS providers to figure out if they're the real deal or if they're going to be able to work with them? Yeah. From my perspective, what other tools do I need to purchase to get this thing to work? Right? That's the big thing with the TMS space. You hear that in the ERP space too. They're a little bit better in the ERP space and the WMS space, but the TMS side, it's okay. I have, they all sell. I have real-time visibility. Okay, well, do I need to go buy a P44? Do I need to go buy a 4Kites license, right? Oh, I can do benchmarking. Okay, well, I also need to buy a DAT license. I also need to buy green screens, whatever. Oh, well, you can do freight out and pay. Well, yeah, but you need to buy something else too to do that. So it's a lot of our competitors are selling the core TMS, and our shipper customers don't realize they have to go buy 5 other licenses to get it to work. Sure. And that's truly the difference, where you don't have to go buy those with us. We kind of package and scale all that up in one.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest question I would ask. If I was a shipper looking for a TMS, I would ask those providers, what other software do I need to make this run?
Yeah. Well, hopefully they do, so they don't get stuck in something that is going to be too hard to execute on, or just not getting all the features.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm excited for what you guys have built and just how it's going to impact additional customers and partners in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's exciting times right now, right, in our industry. And then on the IT side, right, it's kind of the AI. I don't know if it's a bubble or not yet, but we'll see. But you need all this API integration and clean data in order to get those things to work. So that's what we're really building, is something scalable for the future.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thanks so much for being here, Tyler. I know we're going to be following Encompass very closely to see all the different advancements and things that are kind of happening.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to showcase it, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for watching IT Unplugged. Make sure that you like, subscribe, do all those things. And for all things IT, cybersecurity, AI, make sure you tune into other episodes. Thanks so much.